All right. So now that a bunch of countries are trying to find their way, the quickest route to China and India and Persia, the thing is, Christopher Columbus comes around. Now, at this time, you have to remember the old myth that people thought the world was flat. Not really true. People knew that the world was round. The only problem was they didn't know how round it was. They already knew that it was round. They knew in the days of Galileo that the Earth was round. But the thing is, again, they know the size of it. So Columbus basically said, you know what? Why don't we go this way? Let's see if this is a quicker route. If we head towards the west, maybe we'll get there quicker. You know, and he basically convinced the king and queen of Spain to fund his expedition. And the thing is, you have to remember at this time, uh, Spain had just barely gained their independence from the Moors, and the Moors are this group of people from the south, in Africa. They took over Spain for a long time. Spain barely won back their independence. They're in need of money, and the king and queen of Spain were like, "What do we got to lose?" You know, um, if we're wrong, we lose money, and basically that's it. We're out of luck. But what if we're right with this guy and he finds the quickest route, and we'll get plenty of money, I'll beat everybody. So they take a gamble on him, and the thing is, they give him three ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Okay. Those are the first three ships that he had. Okay. Now, Columbus, believe it or not, was not the first European to find the New World. Actually, it was discovered sometime before by the Vikings, actually. Now, the thing is, there was a guy named Leif Erikson. He was a Viking from Scandinavia, and he was actually the first person to land in northern Canada. Now, the thing is, why nobody really hears about Leif Erikson is because he didn't announce it to the world like Columbus did. And the thing is, it didn't launch as big of a movement as when Columbus did it, because Columbus was representing Spain, a sort of respected country, whereas Leif Erikson was a Viking. Some people saw him as barbarians. So Leif Erikson, the Vikings were like, "Hey, we found some land over here," and people are like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." The thing is, they did find, like Greenland, Iceland, stuff like that. But when they were landed in North Canada, and basically, like, yeah, we found a place over there. Nobody really paid attention to them. There's evidence that they even came as far down as Minnesota. They actually made it into the Americas. Uh, but that's the thing. When Columbus found out, and he brings back spices and food, and he even brings back some indigenous people that the European part of the world never seen before. This was like, oh my goodness, what is this? And he's telling him this. I didn't find India, I didn't find China, but I found a new part of the world. It's a whole new world over here. And that basically kicks off the age of exploration. Okay, so then comes the exploration west. Um, when Columbus comes back after his first with the new foods and spices and the indigenous people, um, he's able to go back three more times, and he does, and he becomes rich because of it. Now the thing is, Portugal wants to go out too, so they went out and they found Brazil. Now the thing is, Spain was kind of like, hey, you're invading our territory. We're claiming all this land. And the thing is, Portugal was kind of like, no, no, this is ours. What we find over there, we just, this is ours. And so Spain and Portugal were about to clash and fight each other. But this is where the um, Catholic Church came in. Because you have to remember, Spain and Portugal are both predominantly Catholic. And the Catholic Church does not want their two big countries, some of their biggest supporters, to fight each other because they're only going to hurt themselves. They're only going to kill, the Catholic people and stuff like that. So they didn't want any of that kind of stuff. And they kind of knew too, these guys are going to be making money. And if they make money, that means the church is going to make money. And you don't want that to happen. So in 1492, the Treaty of Tordesillas, which I probably mispronounced that, probably butchered it. It pretty much gave the rights of all the land that Spain discovered to them, right? And they basically set up a line where uh, Brazil is to the east, whatever land is discovered, that's Portugal's. From that same line west, that's Spain's. All right. Now, the thing is, again, the church had a lot of influence, and they basically made the two countries agree. Okay. Now, with this approval, Spain is sending people over there. You go and get some of that stuff. Um, Hernan Cortez. Now he goes off into middle part of Mexico, and the thing is, he finds the Aztecs. Now, the thing with him is that the Aztecs actually had this prophecy that a god would come from the east, from the rising sun area, and he would be light skinned and this and that, and he would come with stuff never seen before. And he actually did. The thing is, he came light skinned, so that from the east to the west. But the thing is, the item that the people had never seen before was actually horses. The Mexican people and people in the Americas never seen horses. So here he comes with this animal, and they're just like, oh, he brought this animal from the gods, and from this and that. So, oh, my goodness, he has to be a god. And Cortez used that to his advantage, and basically defeated the Aztecs in 1521. Now, the thing is, also what he did is when he landed in Mexico, he burnt the boats that he came in, basically forcing his men to go forward so that they wouldn't retreat back. Um, Bold strategy, but hey, it worked. Another explorer, a conquistador, would be Fernando Pizarro. Now, 11 years later, after Cortez, he would actually find the Incas in Peru and conquer them. Later on, there would be an explorer named Juan Ponce de Leon, and he would claim Florida, as you can see on the map. And he was basically trying to find the Fountain of Youth, because there's myth and legend about this fountain that gives you everlasting life, you know. So he was trying to find that. Now, the thing is, Spain ruled the land from Florida to California and all the way down to South America. They controlled a large part of the New World. Now, this map I have right there, it's to give you an idea, right? It's from a map from later on, but still, you can see the gray section of is where is what Spain owned. All right. Now, people from Spain who basically really had nothing, or they were from a family that had stuff, but they were so low on the totem pole that they weren't going to get much in Spain. They basically could settle in the New World, but the government basically told them, if you settle in the New Spain, you're going to have to either farm, you're either going to have to start mining, you're going to have to create cattle ranches, and most importantly, you have to spread the Catholic religion. Now that was huge. Okay, that's why predominantly a lot of Latinos are Catholic. Now, the thing is, missions were created from the 1600s to the 1700s, and the thing is, some are still here today. If you look at the California coastline, um, any basically place where they have the saint name, like a San Francisco, San Luis Obispo, things like that, they have a mission somewhere along there. It's usually like a day's walk between mission to mission. All right. So besides Spain, there were other countries that came over and settled. France, they had claimed land from the Gulf of Mexico up the Mississippi River. English came in. along the east coast of our United States. And their first settlement was in Jamestown. Now, Jamestown was an English colony that was set up by investors, and these investors were known as a joint stock companies, and they basically put money up front to pay the workers to build this community, and then for the community to basically make them money. And Jamestown found the perfect cash crop, and they grew tobacco. And tobacco in that field, in that climate, was just perfect because it grew large, it grew well, and the thing is, in England, when they sent it back, it was just amazing that they're like, "Oh my God, this is some great stuff. This tobacco is amazing," and it basically got people like, "We want more of this American tobacco." And so the demand for the American tobacco just skyrocketed. And it basically got some people, investor people, to go, you know what? Maybe we should invest more, not just into Jamestown, but into other settlements. All right, so here is your final question. Do you think it would be a good idea or bad idea to invest in a colony? You have to remember, this is back then. It's wild area. Basically, they would have to chop down trees, set up land. Um, you didn't know if the ground was fertile and things like that. You didn't really know the weather. You just set up camp someplace and basically try to build a community and grow things. Um, so, would that be a good investment? Yes or no? Why? All right. So answer that question. I think investing in a colony would be a good idea, bad idea, because, and again, explain why you think it would be a good investment or a bad investment. The second question is, what else could a colony do to make money instead of growing tobacco? All right, because if everyone's growing tobacco, 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 um, the value of it's going to drop. And the thing is, who knows if yours is going to be better than the other places. So if nobody buys from you and it's already cheap, it's you're basically going to run yourself into the ground. you know it's like if let's say Michael Jordan signed one basketball all his career. That basketball is worth millions. But if he wrote a, for every little basketball that's around, his name, his name, his name, you could buy it basically at Walmart. Is his name worth as much? And it's not, because you can get anywhere. So it'd be worthless. So that's what I'm saying. Um, you can't grow tobacco. What else could you grow? Or what else could you do or create or send over? You know, what else could you do besides grow tobacco to make money? And explain why you would do that. Okay. Now, again, think about the people in England, because remember, they've been settled there for thousands of years. You think about resources they have, room for farming, room for people, things like that. There's been wars, there's been all kinds of stuff. So you have to take that in consideration. Okay. And then America is brand new. It's full of stuff and possibilities. So what could you do or grow or send back to England or any part of Europe to make money? Okay, that would be the second question. Now, once you're done with that, you are finished. This is it for the first day. Hope you guys learned something new. When you finish your notes, make sure your name's on it. And when you come into class, be sure to turn it in to the black basket near the door. Do not put it on my desk if I have one at this point. But if I do not put it on my desk. Do not hand it to me. Put it in the black basket. Okay. Again, hope you learned something. I hope you had fun with this. There's gonna be more videos of this stuff. So if you miss a day, you can always come to this and do the notes, answer the questions, and you will not miss a day. All right. So that's it. Have fun. See you in class.